Okay, here's the game that I played yesterday in the second round of the league competition. I was playing black and my opponent opened with d4 and we played a Nimso Indian defense, and then he played f3. Now, these errors I did that before. Wait a minute. What I wanted to say here is that normally instead of f3, a3 is played, and after there is an exchange on c3, then f3 is played to prepare e4. But this is just a different move order. First playing f3. This is called the same-ish variation of the Nimso Indian defense. I played d5 to prevent e4, and then he played a3. Take on c3, take on c3, and then b6. Another option is to play immediately c5, but b6 is also playable. Take on d5, take back, then e3. I castled, and he played bishop to d3. And the next moves you see that the square e4 is very important, because white wants to play e4. That would give him a strong center, and black tries to prevent it. So that's why I played rook to e8, and he played the knight to e2, and this knight is going to g3 once more to have influence in this on this e4 square. Bishop a6. I wanted to trade the bishop, the white squared bishop, to diminish the influence of the white bishop on e4, and then white stays with a dark squared bishop that has less mobility. He castled, and then I took on d3, and he took back, and now I played c5. He went with the knight to g3, and I took on d4, and after he took back I played my knight to c6, finishing my development. Now this position has been played before, also the position after white's next move, bishop to d2. In this position, in a game of Tifiakov, the grandmaster Sergei Tifiakov playing black, he played rook to c8, and right now a draw was agreed in that game, so it was a very short draw. But I didn't play rook to c8, I played queen to d7. Now of course I didn't, during the game I'm not aware of the fact that this position has been played before by grandmasters, but afterwards when you have a look at the database and you find that after 15 moves still you have a position that is played in a grandmaster game, it's just a nice idea. Well, I played my queen to d7, and he played the bishop to e1. Now the bishop is going to f2 to defend the d4 square, because that's another item about the move e4, that if white wants to play e4, then the pawn on d4 must be well defended, because after I take on with my d pawn on d4, my queen will be also attacking d4. So defending this d4 a pawn is important for white. I played rook to e6, knight went to e2, rook e8, doubling up the rooks on the e file. Bishop f2, oh sorry, here, bishop f2, and now I was doubting about what plan to make now. I thought about bishop to a5, but I didn't do it, although it would have been a good idea to play knight to a5 with the idea of going to c4, but I chose another way of doing this, and that is going with the knight to e7 to bring it from e7 to c8 and then to d6. My idea was that with my knight on e6 I would have all my pieces on the ideal squares, so that's why I played knight to e7. He replied knight to f4, attacking my rook, and my rook went to d6. c6. Now this was a very exciting moment, because here white must make a very important choice. Does he want to play e4 now or not? This is the moment when it's possible. He could play e4. Now after the game, my opponent told me that he didn't want to take the risk, because if we see that if we exchange here and then the knight goes to g6, for example, then it's the question whether these pawns are strong or will become a target and can become weak later. Especially now that this pawn is attacked twice by the rook and the knight. So there are many possibilities for black here. Anyway, my opponent, I'll go back to the position in the game, after rook to c6, didn't play e4, but he played rook a to c1. Just a solid move. And I went on with my plan, knight to c8. And now he came with a move that I hadn't expected. I was thinking that all the action is concentrated here at the center with this e4 idea and at the c file, but he played g4, and that surprised me. Actually, after I had played my knight to c8, I thought that I was going to have an inferior position if he would play bishop to h4, because then I cannot go on with my plan with knight d6, because then he exchanges on f6, and then he can take on d5, and then he has a perfect position. So here I thought he would play bishop h4. I think that would have been a very strong move also, but he played g4 with the plan of having immediate activity on the king side. I played h6, h4, and now I played g5. Maybe this was not the best defense. Maybe the best defense would have been to go back with my knight to e7, and then after g5 played knight to h7. But I didn't like the idea of having my knight on h7 so passive. So I tried to defend more active by g5. He took on g5, I took back, and then he played knight to h3. And here I made my main mistake. I thought that the position after knight h7, like I just said before, would not be nice for me, because this knight is so passive here, only defending this pawn. So I thought actually that I already had a very bad position here, that it was inferior, but maybe after knight to h7 there is a way of holding it. But I misjudged it, and I thought that I had to do something different. And what I did was actually a big mistake. I just chose to give him this g5 pawn, playing king to g7. And my ideas was that I would open these lines for the rook, and that maybe I could bring more pieces to the king side and use this h file. But it's not the case, because he takes on c6, and after I take back he plays strongly queen to f5, threatening to take with the queen on g5, and that's something I cannot prevent. I played knight to e7, and then he took with check, knight g6, knight f4. I tried knight to h7 now, and he finished the game in a very beautiful way. Knight to h5 check, king h8, queen h6, of course threatening queen g7 mate. I played my rook to g8 to prevent that, and now he played a beautiful last move, bishop to h4. The thing is that I cannot take this bishop, because if I take it, then my queen hangs. So the threat bishop f6 is deadly. So that was the game that I played, and well, I found it a very interesting game, and I unfortunately lost it because I misjudged this position. My evaluation was wrong. After king to g7, it was actually lost. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time on YouTube. Bye bye.